According to Shangan legend, the birth of the Detroit Lion is a gift from the ancestors. Its presence ensuring peace and prosperity for all in the NFL. Legends are not born, they are made, and sometimes they need a little help.
You asked interrogative questions around my suit. It's gone.
What are you doing? Come on.
That is not paid for by them. That is paid for by the people of Detroit.
You might be qualified, ML.
I'm not qualified for this job.
Let me tell you something. You want to go right now? Okay? You want to go right now?
Hey kids, it's your old pal ML Elric coming to you from Red Shovel Network headquarters. And if you are a Patreon member, you may be watching us now. So we appreciate you supporting the show. If you're a Patreon member, you may be listening to this show without the insertion ads that drive some people crazy. Doesn't cost that much to join up, and it does support the show. So please take a look and consider becoming a sponsor of our show. It's really easy, it's really cheap, and it keeps us coming back every week. And speaking of being back, Marc's here.
Hey.
He's always here. He didn't have to wait at the airport for his flight, but Sean Windsor is with us in studio.
Oh, look at sunshine.
Eli called me before we went live saying, what's wrong with Sean? Is he okay? Is he going to be all right? Are you going to be okay? Are you all right?
I hope so.
Have you ever considered LASIK surgery?
Yeah, why not? If it works for you,
you're right at the age for multifocal implants.
Anything that you try, that you say, any kind of life tips you have for me, I'm game.
Well, I had LASIK 15 years ago, and it was fantastic. It was literally game changing because it changed the way I play games. We'll tell you a little bit later about how Dr. Yaldo can help you get better than perfect vision. I know that sounds weird, but it is true. You can get it. We'll also tell you about how Zott Ford is performing automotive magic in Holly and how you can get some great deals on the 23s and the 24s that they have on the lots. They have lots of good cars, lots of good deals. Go and get you one. And if you're planning for the future, Luke Nowacki and Zach at Pinnacle Wealth Strategies can help you ride out the market and be ready to retire in style. Don't freak out like I do. My Weight Watcher stock is the only thing that's lost weight. And you know what Luke and Zach would tell you? Don't look at it every day. Have a long-term strategy and just let your money do the work for you. So we'll tell you how you can take advantage of those great deals a little bit later in the show. But we have a lot to talk about. We have Republicans in Michigan chewing each other apart. They are like the snake eating its tail. There's a lot of drama there. Very exciting, very interesting, very crazy. We'll talk a little bit about that. Donald Trump, Iowa caucuses. This guy's unstoppable. Michigan Republicans can't seem to get out of their own way, but Trump is steamrolling everybody else.
Is anybody surprised by that at all?
No, not at all. Not at all.
It's like a waste of time.
Kwame Kilpatrick is the subject of a new biopic. We may play that trailer a little later in the show, and I'm interested to see what you guys think about the actor they chose to portray me. And, of course, there's always our Detroit Lions who continue to set this city on fire. If you're watching us on Patreon, here it is. I told you guys early on, it's all about the Lions.
Oh, my God. He just put on a hat. I think hell is frozen over.
It's
just like
favorite team.
Oh, my God. Is that a jersey,
I've been
too?
a big supporter.
What is that? That looks like something you got.
Where'd
you get that at? Goodwill?
I got this in Michigan City, Indiana, 25 years ago, coming back from Chicago. It's a little Detroit Lions wind shirt because, as everybody who listens to this show knows, I am Mr.
Hot air
Lion.
Oh.
They call me the White Lion.
Sean, are you amazed?
I'm still trying to figure out why you messed with the camera over here.
So you would be in frame properly.
Nobody needs to see me.
Well, now I'm just going to leave it on you.
Can I just hide out, kind of?
Look at that man. You look like a coach now.
He does.
I'm ready. They're going to need a coach because I think we're going to lose one of those coordinators.
You just need the short, tight Lycra coaching shorts with no belt, and you'll be good.
What a miserable month for that man over there. I mean, Michigan wins the national championship, and the Lions keep winning.
You know what? Here's why I love the Lions now, because nobody's talking about the Michigan championship. It's all about the Lions. That was the shortest postcoital bliss, and I think that happens a lot in Ann Arbor.
That's really funny you say that, because we've talked about this on the show before, how the Lions really work for the Free Press website. Everybody wants to read about the Lions. Everybody in this area, if you're a football fan, is a Lions fan, but clearly you're divided amongst your university that you root for. And Drew always jokes that Michigan's a cult, which I have no problem. Call us what you want to call us. But it's really weird how people that don't really care about Michigan don't really care that they won the national championship. It's bizarre to me.
Oh, I care. I'm still in deep pain.
But what I mean though is when Michigan State won the basketball championship, that's all you heard about for forever. And I feel like there's been very little discussion about Michigan. It's weird.
Well,
that's also April, right? So it's spring training. There's no other sports going on.
That's right. To Mike's
maybe
point,
the Red Wings, April and D. That was.
I mean, maybe back then I'm trying. Well, they were years short of winning the cup when State won that title, right?
Yeah, 2000. That's right.
So the Wings.
Well, they won in '98.
Yeah, the Wings were. They'd won a couple times. But to your point, the Lions are just overshadowing everything.
Yeah,
and it's kind of. It's unprecedented. I know we're going to talk about that later in the show, but there are also reasons why the love is broader, deeper, however you want to say, for the Lions than it is for Michigan. You know what I mean? You don't start. I'll just say this: you don't start with the university until you're 18. With the Lions, for a lot of these people, they were put in a onesie.
But see, I think, disagree, though.
I think people are brought up in university families. When you have a kid that's 18 and they go to the other university, I mean, it's almost like the Dr. Pepper commercials. This is a big deal if you're wearing the other colors. But we can all cheer for the Lions, right? Marc and I can both cheer for the Lions.
It's just not the same. The legacy's not the same. It's not passed down generation after generation the same way. Yes, sometimes your kids go to the same school, but a lot of times they don't.
I would agree with that. I grew up a Buckeye fan. My dad's an Ohio State fan. That's just all I knew until until I went to school at Michigan. But that just means so much more to me because my lasting friendships and relationships are from there. We have that. That is our bond, right? That's our thing.
But it is true. Your kid could betray you and go to the other university, but you can both get together after Saturday and cheer for the Lions because that is the team.
Well, it's like my youngest son called me up. It was late Sunday night after the game, and he's a Spartan, loves the Spartans. He was
good man.
He was in the basketball program. Yeah, no, he loves that school and has a lot of pride in that school. And he called me after the Lions game. He's like, "No, it doesn't compare," because he's like the Spartans for 4 years, 5 years, whatever. And he's loved the Lions since he was old enough to know he existed. You know what I mean? It's just different.
Yeah.
And it speaks to you choose your university. You kind of don't with your pro team.
Yeah. Well, some people would say you don't get to choose your university because they handpick their students and because they blah 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 blah. That always drives me crazy when people act like I didn't get into the university that I really wanted. I understand the disappointment. Try harder on the SAT, go someplace else and transfer, or like most of us in life, don't get what you wanted and then go get something else and make it work for you. There are so many great places in this country where if you don't get your first choice, take your second and make that something that works for you. Turn that into the right place for you.
But all I've ever heard too are Walmart Wolverines. People that don't go to the school, have any affiliation, just root for them because they were always on TV, and kind of like the Lions, right? That was the team you rooted for, and I don't know if that exists anymore. Maybe because of that decade of how bad they were.
That people don't grow up as Lions fans?
No, Michigan fans.
Oh, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, no, I think you saw a lot of Spartan hats that you wouldn't have seen 20 years ago, and I don't think you see as many these days. And I think
that's a good thing. That's all right.
These are cyclical.
Mm-hmm.
But I could rant about the Lions, but I there's something that every
I love
week
seeing you in that hat, though. That's great.
I know this is a natural fit.
It's such a shock.
Every week I want to rant about this because it drives me crazy, and I don't know if you guys have seen this or not. But
no, we haven't.
Everything I watch on YouTube, and I'm almost tempted to buy a subscription, are ads for this Shen Yun. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I've at the Opera House?
This Chinese spectacle with people sweeping around with these flowing costumes and all these very sincere sort of...
Makes me think of Kung Fu Panda 3, wasn't there? Or 2, wasn't there a character, Shen...
Never saw it.
Shen, played by, I can't remember. Sorry. That's a terrible story.
It's good to know you're feeling better.
Your lack of appreciation for other cultures is shocking. But it all these sensibilities, it was a spectacle. It changed my life. It's changing my life because I don't want to go online because there's something about my browsing history. Like if you hear the insertion ads on our show, those are selected based on your browsing history. But there's nothing in my browsing history that suggests I'm looking up Chinese dance spectacles from the 17th century.
Yeah.
Do you guys get? I mean,
they have an amazing marketing budget.
But yes, yeah, exactly. There's billboards all over town. I'm like, how many people
Every
go
year.
to this?
Yeah.
How much are the tickets that they can afford to pound this much money into their advertising budget?
I just figure they have some angel investor who just wants to make this work, so he's throwing a bunch of money at it.
Well, and that's occurred to me too, that this is heavily subsidized by the Chinese government because they're somehow trying to win hearts and minds by getting
might
us
be.
to appreciate. But that's the only thing
knows?
because everybody they have in their ads is wearing a tuxedo. I don't bump into anybody, tuxedo or not, who says, you know what? If you want to change your life, go see Shen Yun.
Well, don't worry about it for one. For two, it's Lord Shen from Kung Fu Panda 2.
Oh, I'm glad you looked that up.
Gary Oldman was the voice.
Oh, really?
And he was a peacock, and he would take his feathers like knives or whatever and throw
Throwing stars, or
Yeah.
Shawn, last week when you said you couldn't make it, I said I told Marc, I said send everyone, and he said everyone. I said everyone.
That's not bad for the professional.
It was outstanding. Or Leon,
No,
as it's known in France.
is that what it's called?
Leon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Oldman's best role by far.
It's right now. It's right now.
Oh, Slow Horses.
Slow Horse.
Fantastic.
Have you seen this, Marc?
I started watching it. I couldn't get into it.
What?
I will tell you, by season 3, I'm finding it hard to watch because he's so disgusting.
No, he's
Not the
unbelievable.
farting, but he's been wearing the same clothes now for 3 seasons straight.
Well, his
He
insults.
just looks so greasy.
Yeah, no, his character is just.
But his best character was Drexel in True Romance,
Such a
the
small
killer
role.
pimp.
You mean the cultural appropriation role?
Yeah, that role. Is it White Boy Day? Is that what it is?
Yeah. Hey, Clarence.
It's not. It's great.
White Boy Day.
Great role.
Must have thought it was White Boy Day. Hey, Clarence, it's White Boy Day. No.
I want to go back to the Lions, though.
Oh, sorry.
Can we talk about it now? Is that,
Okay, but
is that in the rundown?
I
Just real quick.
do have to tell people about my latest column for the Detroit Free Press.
Yes,
because
that was a good column.
I feel like we are doing a lot of sports, but we have to bring a little bit of it home because there is a game being played in Michigan right now, and it does involve the Republican Party. And this is something that whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, you've never seen before. I think the Democrats are known for being the party that eats itself alive, lots of internal dissension, purity tests, all that other crap. The Republican Party right now, I went to an event in Commerce Township on Saturday, January 6th, where Republican state committee members came together and voted out their chairperson. Last Saturday in Houghton Lake, Republican state committee members came together, reaffirmed their chairperson. Right after that, I got an email that said next Saturday in Lansing, the Republican State Committee is going to come together to pick a new chairperson. This is insane, and there's this incredible. The only thing everybody agrees on is they're loyal to Trump, but then after that, it's like, should we be a grassroots party? Are we being run by the country clubs? Nobody seems to have any money. Nobody seems to have any unity. And they are tearing themselves apart. And next month, Republicans are going to choose their presidential nominee. Now, it's almost certainly going to be Donald Trump, but there are lots of candidates. There's a couple congressional seats that are wide open. There's a Senate seat that's wide open. These are very, very winnable for Republicans.
But they're all down bad. I mean,
and they're fighting each other.
how much of it really matters? Who's in charge here? I know it's all about raising money, which I'll get to that point in a second. But with Trump on the ballot, all that down ballot stuff that helps all them. Do
Right.
they really need somebody?
Well, he should pull them across the finish line, but the problem is right now the party should be doing candidate recruitment. They should have millions of dollars in the bank to do ads to try and encourage Republican turnout. The big thing, and this is one of these really dorky political things that people don't understand, is the state Republican Party gets a discount on postage, which sounds like the most boring thing in the world. But when you're jamming out millions upon millions of pieces of literature and you can do it at half price, That is a huge advantage, and nobody wants to give money to the state Republican Party right now because they don't know who's in charge. They don't know what's going on. And that means the ability to jam our mailbox with propaganda about candidates is seriously hampered for Republicans because they just can't get that discount on stamps, which is just such a arcane thing. But it's one of these little things that really makes a difference, particularly in close races.
So the reason people in the Republican Party want her out is money.
Well, partly because they don't trust her. They think this is Christina Caramo,
But it's still
who
money.
lives just down the street from us
Yeah.
in Oak Park, lives with her parents still, from what I understand.
Whatever.
Her best job was a substitute teacher. She was a quiz master at one of these bar quiz things before she was elected Republican Party chairperson. And folks don't feel that she is transparent. They say she can't raise money. The party's in debt. They're suing other people in the party to try and get control of headquarters that she doesn't really want, but she wants to get access to it so she can somehow leverage it to pay their credit card bill or their credit line. It's crazy.
Well, here's what drove me nuts about your article, because you had a couple of quotes in there. One being from Caramo, where she just blamed the deep state, which seems to be a little bit of a boogeyman to me. And then there was another supporter of hers that said just use racism, use the race, because she's black, and if you don't want somebody in there, it's easy to go, well, that's because you're racist, right? That's a blanket thing, which I think are both red herring arguments. So what is the argument to keep her?
That she is she's pure, that she can't be bought, that she is connecting with the grassroots, that regular people, the true Republicans, appreciate her.
Then why not pose that argument?
Well, they try, and they do generate a lot of content. There's a podcast and all kinds of
she
other stuff.
was voted in, right? I mean, the member,
yeah.
So I just.
But the people who voted her in, who felt that the Republican Party was drifting too much towards the left, or at least to the center, now feel like, okay, well, you know what? There's so few of us who feel comfortable with this party now that we need some of those people that we told to get the hell out of here. The people that we said we had enough of, we realized without them there's not enough of us, and so we want them to come back in. But it's a crazy thing, and Republican politics right now, the Democrats, they don't have a governor running, they don't have an attorney general, they don't have a secretary of state. They got a president that most people think is in a coma. So all the interest and all the actions on the Republican side of the ticket, and it's just DeSantis going after Haley going after Trump.
Well, they are by far
It's
the more interesting
crazy.
party, I think. I mean, that's
where all the action
whatever
is.
side you're. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're I don't know. It's to watch it. It's fascinating, and I'm not going to be able to be at the convention on Saturday because I'll be playing at Clark Park for our annual Clark Park charity hockey game. So we'll have a link on how you can support Clark Park on our website. But I don't know what's going to happen. They're going to be a third vote. Is there going to be somebody else who's in charge now? I mean, it's
so. What kind of
late.
What kind of traction is your column getting? Are people paying attention to it?
Well, if you're not writing about Jim Harbaugh, J.J. McCarthy, or the Detroit Lions, you may as well be pissing into the fan because the sports has taken up all the energy. It's drawn all the oxygen out of the room.
But there is a wonky group of people that like to talk politics, and
yeah,
a small group. So we should continue talking here because there are a lot of people interested.
I'm fascinated in it.
Well, based on the responses I'm getting, it's mainly Democrats reading about this because they are loving it. It's like Michigan football's doing really well, right?
Yeah.
Trump's doing really well. So what do Democrats want to read about? Republicans tearing each other up. Michigan football's doing really well. What do I want to read about? Sign stealing. I want to read about lying to the NCAA. You kind of take your points where you can get them.
Is this a result of there just being like way too much information out there, and that you're just gonna? Because I could keep reading about Michigan all day long, or the Lions all day long, from one website to another. Where in the past you would get the newspaper and you would read what's in the newspaper.
Well, the problem is you got a guy like Sean Windsor writing so many columns, even though he should be in a ICU somewhere.
Thank you. Thank you for caring.
I am concerned about you.
Thank you for being kind.
If you die, we go out of business because everybody read about the Lions.
Oh, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. They're Mitch
Sounds
is
like
there.
ML's the one dying now.
Jeff Seidel's there. Mitch is there. Carlos, the great Dave Burkett. The paper doesn't need me.
God.
It'll be fine.
Will you stop it?
You know what I mean? Just like this podcast, it'll be just fine.
We like having you here. You add a lot.
The two of you guys, you'll carry it on.
I don't know. We have a listener who is fascinated with Shawn and sent us an article about Orange Sunshine, which you were talking about last week, and we're going to get into that a little later in the show. But guess where Orange Sunshine got its start? In the late 1960s, a small group of hippie zealots worked feverishly in an old Windsor farmhouse to produce an especially pure form of LSD on a mission to turn on the world. So, Shawn, you have turned on our audience in the same way that your farmhouse turned on the world to LSD.
The Orange Sunshine was not me. It was just...
Have you ever done LSD?
Yeah, I have. But
Really?
the Orange Sunshine was somebody
Recently?
else.
I'm just kidding.
No, I have not. LSD doesn't really... It's not for me.
Yeah. I wouldn't.
My brain
You don't like
is...
the Mormons?
No, it's just a...
No, that's LDS. Sorry,
Did you like hallucinogenics when you were young?
The only time I even flirted with dropping acid, I had half a hit of blotter in my wallet when I tried to outrun the entire Grosse Pointe Park Police Department. So,
What?
so I very carefully slipped that out of my wallet and left it on the bench in the lobby while they were waiting to call my parents to say, come and get this asshole. So that was it for me with
So you
acid.
didn't try it. You were going to try
No,
it, though.
I figured that was a cosmic sign that I probably shouldn't do that.
No other no mushrooms?
Mushrooms, yeah.
Mushrooms.
Mushroom. The thing about mushrooms
That's
was
a milder trip than LSD for sure.
I liked mushrooms, but the effect it had on me was I felt apart from everything and kind of at peace, but also a strange contempt for everybody around me.
So how's that any different?
But then when they would leave, I'd be like, wait for me. So I'd always you'd see like a cluster of people walking through East Lansing. I'd be like half a block behind because I'm like, I don't know what these guys. Nobody knows what they're saying. Hey, wait up. It just had a weird effect on me.
So you actually
Not
tried to
unpleasant, but it was-
connect with people.
No,
You're like, wait for me. You wanted to be part of something.
No, I felt like
So
it made
maybe
me
you should keep taking them.
antisocial, but also fearing being left out.
I got you.
Not a feeling that I enjoy.
I couldn't handle the I mean, my brain is enough. There's enough shit rolling around. I don't need drugs to try to alter my reality. You know what
Just
I mean?
the occasional bean.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot we talked about the beans, didn't we?
Yeah, you're still coming down. I did have a guy I knew in college though who had a roommate, and this guy was okay, but he kind of had a weird sense of humor. He had one of his housemates. He got him acid. He'd never dropped before, so he dropped acid, and he was sitting in the living room, kind of tripping. And then he got one of his other buddies, who was a security guard, in his uniform to bust into the house and grab him and say, "Kid, you're doing drugs. You're going to jail."
Oh God.
And like, talk about giving somebody a bad trip. That's not your control group. That's not the guy you want looking out for you when you're doing it.
No, and I don't know about you guys. I don't know.
He did have great taste in
Did
music.
you ever Did you ever try LSD, Mark?
No, not directly. No. I've done other ones. Mescaline.
Okay, peyote.
Which I loved, but yeah. I don't have the time for it anymore. Who has time to do
I'm
all
talking
that?
about when you were younger and you were experimental like a lot of young people do.
Not that I'll just put it this way. Not that I remember.
I got you. Some mescaline. Okay, that's not bad. Peyote.
So you're
Shrooms, yeah. I mean,
Sean's our resident pharmacist.
Ann Arbor in the 90s. Come on.
That's a good point. No, look, a lot of times too, you were talking about you taking the hallucinogenic and wanting to follow the crowd or be part of the crowd. I think,
but not wanting to be part of it. It was a weird.
No, I totally get that because
sensation.
I think a lot of us when we're maybe not all of us, obviously, thank goodness, but when I was young, you're a lot more susceptible to the crowd and the peer pressure and so on and so forth. And I can remember the first time I tried Coke, and you're like, okay, yeah, that's you can see why people like to keep doing that, but then you smoke it, and that's a completely different. That's the best high ever. You can see why, unfortunately, that was turned into an epidemic back in those days. But I remember one time somebody came over with with a little bit of extra, and we were going to try to sell it. And a guy I knew somebody else, and he came over and he's like, let me go take it out. So we were so stupid and so naive, but he comes over to our little apartment. It was sort of like an off-campus dorm. And we gave him the stuff, and he said, I'm going to go outside and make sure this isn't cut or whatever. And then he never came back. And like, of course he's not going to come back. You know what I mean?
Did he get a free backpack?
I don't remember. It was not a lot of money. I don't know, maybe, but it felt like in the early 80s, it was probably at least $1,500, which was a lot of money, I guess. And so people were going to get steak knives and kitchen knives. Like, we're going to go after this guy. And I'm like, what? So I just kind of went along for the ride, and nothing ever happened. Sure. Nothing ever happened, of course. But it was.
Were you mooning anybody while you were?
No. But the idea that you're
any relatives copulating in the back seat while you were along
some punk short-order cook experiment with a drug here and there. All of a sudden, you're walking with a gang of people who are going to go try to get
when you leave
with steak knives. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Then you got a bolt.
It's ridiculous, right? The fact that you're gonna. That's what I'm saying. You don't.
So I think we're starting to figure out why Shawn went to so many colleges. He kept getting expelled for pushing weight.
I thought he was on the run.
Oh, that could be too. Could be. Yeah, there may be posters of him in student unions all over America. Faded and falling off the walls.
Oh, it was not pretty. I remember going around town trying to pay off where I'd, written bad checks, and back in those days when you could do that,
Well, cocaine was really big at my high school, and I didn't indulge. And
it was big in your high school?
Yeah, I didn't have enough money to buy the brown.
No, it was a rich kid's drugs, right?
Yeah, exactly. But when I was in college, there weren't that many people I knew or hung out with that did cocaine. But a friend of mine dated a woman who was had a taste for the booger sugar, and she was really cool and really cute until you saw her the day after she'd had a toot, and you're like, who is this rundown old junkie? It was like the Seinfeld with the sometimes good looking, sometimes bad looking, and it's all depends on the light.
The lighting, yeah.
Yeah, she was like, if she was clean, fantastic, super cool chick, really cute. After a night of tooting it up, just looked run down and haggard and grouchy. I was like, that's not something that I want to do.
No, the thing is just stick with a couple of joints and maybe some Black Label, or if you want to really go up bushes or a bush.
I may have borrowed a Echo and the Bunnymen CD from a house during a party.
Yeah, you just need a few beers, right, Mark, and maybe a little bit of weed, and you're good.
I'm a big fan of whatever works for whoever.
You don't need to.
I don't need to rage all night. I'll tell you.
You don't need all that. So, but what do you do now? Is it edibles or?
Some of us have an enthusiasm unknown to
mankind.
Yeah.
That's
right. We don't need Coke. We got a natural high.
Is it edibles for you now?
No, I don't think Harbaugh had any Coke before he gave that speech at Chrysler.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Were you there for that, Shawn? Did you cover any of the Michigan stuff, or are you just purely lying?
No. I was at the title game and.
No, but when they had the rally and Harbaugh went and addressed the
thankfully I was not.
Teaming crowd. Why thankfully?
The thing I appreciated about his speech is it made the players' speech seem way better. Like, I thought the players had better speeches than both Ward Manuel and Jim Harbaugh.
Ward Manuel, this guy's got now. There's a basketball player who can't travel with the team. I mean, Michigan has got to be very happy that all the attention's on the football team, because the basketball team looks like it's going off the rails.
Well, they did win yesterday, right?
They beat Ohio State.
Yep. Chris Webber was back at Chrysler for the first time since he played there.
Speaking of shitbags.
Yeah. It's funny how that was.
I'll agree with you on that one.
In a regular news cycle, that would have been a much bigger deal, but because of the Lions and it's the hangover from the Michigan football title.
Yeah, it's completely drowning out the amazing success of Michigan State Spartan hockey. Swept Penn State this weekend in Happy Valley, by the way.
Great, no one cares. What?
Sorry.
Huh? What's going on?
All right. But the Lions.
So, Mark, edibles or no?
Whatever works when I need to. So, occasionally, yeah.
But you have you moved past smoking? Or you just?
Oh God, yeah, no.
It's just edibles.
Yeah, when I need to, as needed.
As needed, or
to just a third degree,
or just when you want to have some fun.
Maybe.
It's legal, man. You don't have to hide. It's not like when I was a teenager and my mom would get on the phone and she would whisper from her work, "Are you still on the pod?"
I know, but it still does.
She was embarrassed.
Still does carry a stigma with it.
The nicest new business in my neighborhood is Cloud Cannabis. When you go into that place,
dispensaries are nice. They are.
Oh, I have no problem. I have no problem with dispensaries. I mean, there's liquor stores everywhere, right? So.
Well, you go in and these people are very helpful. Hey, what you got? Backache? Or you trouble sleeping? Is it anxiety? Whatever.
It's all the same.
No, the strains are different.
I went in there with a buddy
really.
of mine. Well, it's like if you've ever been to Amsterdam and you go into a coffee shop and they're like, "What do you want?" You're like, "Well, what do you got?" "Well, we got all this. We got this. This stuff is cool. This stuff is whatever. This is skunk. This is," and you can actually kind of dial it up. You're like,
"Yeah, no, you can't." And Marc is sitting there saying you can't. He's saying it's all the same.
I know you can, but
well, around here everything smells like skunk.
No,
to me.
because some stuff does jack you up more than others, right?
Yeah. Well, and now because the
make you
state
sleepy more.
can test this stuff. They actually remember the whole thing when it was Scared Straight was you don't know what's in there. You don't know. Well, now they can measure the THC. They can. I mean, it turns out that weed they can actually tell you exactly what's in it.
It's a lot more powerful too, right, Marc?
the strength is different. But as far as like one strand doing, I don't know. I'm not buying in.
I mean,
I think it's marketing.
Hitting a joint now was something out of out of the dispensary versus what you got out of a dime bag or quarter bag when
Oh, just think of how many times you'd have
Jesus.
like a seed pop in your face, or you get these stems that just start smoldering. Now you get these things. It looks like they came from a cigarette machine.
No, it's unbelievable.
And I don't smoke weed. I mean, I got no problem with it. But a buddy of mine was in from Buffalo, and he's like, "This place," and he smokes about 8 times a day. And he's in this dispensary. And he's like, "This place is a revelation." And we walked in there, and I hadn't been in one before, and I felt like I was in some science fiction movie where everything's very sanitized and everything's organized, and the people who work there
totally takes the fun out of it.
Wearing a uniform. Yeah, I thought I was in some movie where we were picking out, okay, we're going to do this, and we're creating the next human being. And we wanted to be athletic, and we wanted to have culture, and we wanted to be right-handed, and at the end of it, some little pill was going to drop out, but it was. I don't think it's sustainable because I think there's so much money that's been put into all these places.
Oh, yeah, there's a bubble.
But right now it's pretty wild considering you tried to find some guy in the laundry room of your dorm who might sell you a dime bag that was full of sticks and seeds and
Yeah. No, you had to smoke the whole thing just to feel a little something.
Yeah, or you're like, what the hell? And then you got people scraping resin so they could get a buzz off of that crap. You're like, well, yeah, it's time for me to get some help.
That reminds me of when I was in Austin last week, and a friend of mine was reminding us we'd ride our scooters over to the east side of town. This is if we couldn't get our normal stuff, we'd go over there because it's a little more expensive. And
these scooters stolen in Thailand?
No. They were ours. Although mine did get stolen and outside of a bar called Angles on 5 cent beer night or whatever. But I would go over there, and there was a house of Jamaicans, and you'd walk up and get your little nickel bag. Well, I was a banquet waiter back then, and so I wore what looked like a tuxedo. And occasionally, afterwards, I'd run over there on my scooter in a fucking tuxedo, and walk up, and they're like, "Hey, man, are you the cops?" I'm like, "No, I come here occasionally. You know my name." But it would
I know, but look at you.
Totally unnerve them when I would show up in a bow tie on a little scooter.
Understandably.
Do the cops in Jamaica wear formal wear? I know they have the big stupid English hats.
No, but they just thought that I was some kind of James Bond I had hair back then, undercover figure. But I can remember, riding on a scooter into not a great side of town back in those days.
It's not how an undercover would dress. They would dress more like Drexel.
How many James Bond movies have they seen that James Bond shows up in a Vespa to get a nickel bag? I mean, not even in Dr. No. I mean, you got to be kidding me. And that one was filmed in Jamaica.
In a tuxedo.
Yeah, I mean, come on, give me a break. I will say one thing about scooters.
I can't believe we used to do that. Ugh.
One thing about stolen scooters and mushrooms and cops. We were, my buddy Dave and I were driving around, and we were on mushrooms, and we were okay, but we got pulled over in a parking lot because I was driving a piece of shit car, and East Lansing cops and this was in the middle of the day. This wasn't like late night or anything, and they pulled us over, and you get a little bit of the annoyed when you're rolling, and this cop's like, okay, everything's cool. He's like, okay, guys, you can get out of here. And then I said, hey, wait a minute. He's like, what? He said, and Dave's like, come on, let's go. I said, wait a minute, aren't you the cop that took the report on my friend's stolen spree? He's like, I don't know. We get a lot of. I said, I need an update on the case. What's the status of that investigation right now? He's like, get the fuck
Always
out
the
of
reporter.
Here. Yeah, he's like, people getting sprees stolen, all those little Honda sprees. They're getting stolen all the time. We don't know where it is. And my friend Dave's like, let's go.
Nice timing, ML.
We got away with it. By the way, if you're listening, officer, still looking for an update on that case. That's unsolved.
Not surprisingly.
No, not surprisingly.
Well, they found my scooter, so I guess that was.
Oh, they did?
So
What?
That was good. Yeah.
Was it in the back of the Jamaican's house? Had you left it there?
Well, no, it was outside of this place called Angles, and my buddy who had a matching scooter, and he always loved to give me shit because mine was insured, his was not, mine was locked, his was not. He just was that kind of carefree
Always
guy.
the responsible
And we come
one.
out, and my scooter's gone, and he was just on the concrete rolling, laughing. He just thought that was the greatest thing ever.
So how did they find yours? Where was it?
Reported. I don't remember where it was. The cops. I don't remember where the cops found it. That's a good question, but it was torn up a little bit. So
Well, if anybody finds Dave's spree, it has a Jodie Foster's Army sticker.
no, it was. I want to say it was a spree. Sometimes we'd get on the
And they were black or purple, as I recall.
or red. Yeah.
Oh, red. That's right. That's right.
They were red.
Black
But
or
do you
red.
remember those scooters? And at least in Austin, and I don't know about up north, but in those days in the early '80s, there were scooters everywhere. It was like Saigon. Well, it's not Ho Chi Minh City or something. There were scooters. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, I used to wear rollerblades everywhere, and I would just hitch a ride on the back of somebody's spree. I had a little bar in the back. You just grab that and boo, away you go.
I could see that the wind whipping your earring.
Oh, it's fantastic. And I used to carry a newspaper bag, and sometimes I would have I had a little dog that I would carry in it. Yeah, and one time I was at
How
Genesis
was that weird?
Fieldhouse.
What, rollerblading? How was that
All
weird?
of it, the whole picture of it is just really weird.
And we won't get into the mullet, but it was a bad look. But I was
Mullets were the thing back then,
I
they're
don't know.
back now too. So.
Yeah,
Everybody's going Rick Ocasek now.
got the ape drape. But I was working as a photographer over the summer, and I went to Jennison Fieldhouse, and I had this little dog.
Were you
with
on
me
shrooms?
that would go, no, I was straight for work, and I would bring this little dog, my folks' dog, which was up there with me for the summer. And when I'd play softball, she'd chase me around the bases. It was very strange. But I had my camera in this newspaper bag and this little dog, and I was rolling on my rollerblades. No, maybe I didn't have the dog with me, but I was on my rollerblades, and I go by the basketball office, and Judd Heathcote walks out, and he looks me up and down on these rollerblades with this newspaper bag with this mullet, and just shakes his head and goes back in his office. He's like, no. So, yeah. Okay.
That's
so,
like didn't the Dos Equis guy
the most interesting man in
didn't
the world.
wasn't he asked about rollerblading? All he said was no.
Yeah, that was great. And
That was his whole thing. That was the whole commercial, right?
Yeah.
On rollerblading. No.
What was the other thing he said? If I can count the coins in your pocket, it's time to get another pair of jeans.
Yeah.
He was great. Well, before we get into our Geek of the Week.
What's the old rollerblading joke? What's the hardest thing about rollerblading? Sean's going to hate this punchline.
No, go ahead.
Coming out to your parents?
Oh, that's okay.
Well, for what it's worth, these were very masculine rollerblades.
Yeah, but
not that there's anything wrong with it.
Where was that a joke? Because rollerblading.
Oh, that's an old rollerblading joke.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, Marc's canceled, but let's get to the Lions.
Yeah. What about the Lions? You're wearing Lions gear.
I am wearing Lions gear.
Did you
even though-
watch the game? Oh my God, you're the worst.
I did watch the Lions game, but I do have some hard feelings against the Lions because the week before we got off the ice and we knew we had an early game,
All about
4:30
you.
game last week, and if the Lions had an early game this week, we knew no one would come to the hockey game. So they get scheduled for 8 o'clock. So I was like, great, we'll have a full bench. No, we barely had enough guys to play. No, we did win against the Detroit Beer Company.
What are you bitching about?
Well, because this week they're going to play at 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
And we have a 9:30 game, which is plenty of time to watch the football game and come play hockey. But what's going to happen is all my guys are going to party watching the Lions. And even if they tell me they're going to show up for the game, they're not, because they're all going to be toasted. And they're going to be like, I know I'm supposed to skate tonight, but I'm having a good time. Screw that.
Well,
I'm going to be out there by myself.
I think what you need to realize is that the Lions mean a lot more to them than this little team you're on.
That's ridiculous. Do you know how many championships we've had? The Bulldogs.
Yeah, no, it's old hat.
The Bulldogs over the last 23 years have 3 championships and 2 runners-up trophies. We've
But
won
the
more
Lions
playoff games in
don't.
one season than
Didn't
the
you?
Lions in 50 years.
Didn't
point.
you listen to Dan Campbell the other day?
What did he
the head
say?
Coach. He said, "This is about more than yourself. There's nothing like this is about something bigger than you are. We don't do this for the money. I mean, the money's great.
What?
I don't do it for the
yeah,
money.
They do.
But no, right? No,
I think we're paying to play hockey.
No, they do it because they want to play football and they're good at it, and then
the pay doesn't hurt,
and then they make a lot of money on top of that, right? So,
Yeah.
but that's the thing about football, and it's right. And so this is about something that's bigger. So you should give those guys a break.
I feel like it's.
I did say it was Bulldog championships. I didn't say it was my championships.
I feel like sometimes that
The team.
can be a cliche. It's a little overplayed about, the importance of a team and what it does. Now, that being said, there's no doubt it lifts the spirit of a community or a city or a metro area. I've never seen as extreme of an example as the Lions this year.
Oh,
I mean, everywhere you go, everybody you talk to, and I know, Sean, you were talking about how there were old men with tears in their eyes. There was the one guy they showed on the game. He's been a season ticket holder for 66 years.
Sweet jacket, by the way.
I
love that retro logo.
I mean, personally, that was the thing growing up. We always went to Lions games. We drove, it took us an hour and 15 minutes from Ann Arbor. We went to every game, family. It was like our big thing. And this past Sunday was the first game that my dad, my mom, and both my brothers were at a game together since I can remember, probably since I was in high school. So there is this bringing together this community thing, which, usually gets overplayed, but not this time. There's something different, man.
No, I think it was Michelle a couple weeks ago who was talking about the economic impact after we got jobbed in Dallas, saying how much more would it cost would we make if we had a second home game, and
we got it.
I think there's a big spill. But I'll tell you, when I was watching the game, they had some aerial shots, and I kind of was half paying attention, and I looked at it and I said, "Wow, that's a really cool place." And I started looking, I was like, "Oh no, that's Detroit."
Yeah.
I mean, they were kind of gauzy shots because there was a drone and there was a lot of. I think when it's that cold, the shots aren't really crisp, but it was the kind of shot I'm used to seeing of Rockefeller Center around Christmas, where everything looks a little mystical. And I was like, "Holy crap, that's Detroit."
Sometimes it's good to look at the veneer.
Yeah, right? And they showed the train station.
Yeah.
And it's something we could be proud of. It wasn't Detroit's a gritty city. Look at all these burned out buildings. The hope for the city is the Detroit Lions. It's like, no, the city is behind the Lions, and the city looks pretty damn good. That was kind of a nice change. Mm-hmm. And it's all because of Dan Campbell.
And Brad Holmes. It's funny, I got an email from a reader.
And it is Brad Holmes, too, by the way, because without those players, Dan Campbell couldn't do this.
No, for sure, but it goes even higher than that, right?
It's all of it.
It starts with, and it's funny because I had a reader say to me, "Is it time to change the patches from WCF
get them off
to SPH?" Because she's really the one. She's the one that came in and said, "Look, this is a dysfunctional, fractured building." I'm talking about the headquarters in Allen Park, where one side didn't care about the other, and there was a lot of backstabbing and all that kind of stuff. And it was an ugly, ugly scene, and the morale sucked. Obviously, the losing had a lot to do with that. But she came in and said, "All right, we're going to start by having an atmosphere in this building, whether we're winning or losing, where we're going to treat people a certain way, and we're going to bring in some people." And she gets, and her and Rod Wood, they bring the Spielman in, and that leads them to Holmes and Campbell. And did they get lucky?
Spielman is I think that's
key.
A big thing.
No, Spielman's key. But it starts with Sheila Hamp. She wanted to change the culture, and that is a cliche, but it's also absolutely true, and she's done it.
Well, sometimes cliches are true.
No, they are. And look, they would be the first to tell you they got lucky with Holmes and Campbell. Holmes had not been a GM, Campbell had not been a head coach. I mean, an interim head coach for a second in Miami, but you got to get a little bit lucky, right? You really do. In any kind of business, any kind of organization, when you're bringing somebody in, you can see certain things in the interviews. You can look at the resume, their past work, whatever. But at some point, you're rolling the dice, and you're like, let's hope this works.
This is going to sound so silly.
It's crazy how it has.
Watching a lot of football, Dan Campbell, when I see him, this sounds really corny and cheesy, kind of out of character. But whenever I see him on camera, I'm like, I want to go play for that guy now, whatever the event is. But I don't think I've ever felt that way about
It's unbelievable.
I don't know what
how
it is.
often I hear people say that.
I mean, I don't feel that way about Harbaugh. I don't.
No, I hear so many people say that. And I heard somebody the other day saying, what is it with all the women who could care less about football that love this guy? I was asking my wife about this the other day. She's not a big football person. She said, this is how she explained it to me. She said, well, he's big and rugged and tough.
That's not what I like.
And masculine. And he's got emotional.
Time for some rollerblades.
And he's got emotional. He's got emotional intelligence. It's like
he's smart.
Like he's macho, but he's really smart with a really good sense of humor.
Yeah.
And it's just
he's man. He's an all man. I've heard people call him Man Campbell.
Who taps into a certain kind of emotion, and that's an unusual. Not unusual, but it's a rare combination in that sport in particular.
Well, he loves his players too, and I don't know. There's just a lot to like about the guy.
So I'd play for John Beilein. That's a coach I really have a lot of respect.
Beilein was great.
Well, sure. I just mean, I'm
you're
sitting
right.
on my couch.
But Mark, what you're saying, I've heard all season long.
Good. Jim Schwartz doesn't inspire me. Marty Morningweg, Steve Mariucci, none of those guys.
Mike, those videos of his that the Lions release after wins in the post game,
that's
they go viral every week.
Maybe it's because we see a lot more of it now.
They go viral, and people are like, "Can I sign me up, coach? Sign me up, coach."
Well, look, it really boils down to one thing: they're winning. Right? They're winning.
No, none of this happens without. Yeah, no, for sure.
The other thing that I really like when I watch him, and I do watch him occasionally, is the going for it. I mean,
I love it. Yeah.
That's just so fun, and it's the kind of thing that. And again, I don't know much about football, but when I see Campbell, I think of coaches who are afraid to make mistakes. Like, I'm a first-time head coach. I don't want to blow it. Let me go with the percentages. And maybe the percentages say that he should go with it. Maybe it's like with hockey goalies where now they say they should pull the goalie with 5 minutes left if you're down by so many goals. So I don't know what all the analytics say, but I love that there's this coach who just says, no, we're going to do this. Let's go. Let's go. We're gonna live and die with our ability to make this play happen. And more often than not, they live, and that's fun to watch.
Did you guys? Absolutely.
As a Michigan State Spartan fan, let me tell you, the best player on our team is the punter, and the guy I like to see the least in a game is the punter. And with the Lions, do they even have a punter?
They have one of the best. They have a great punter.
Get out there twice a game.
Did you guys see?
They have a punter who, by the way, the guy sitting 3 rows in front of me was wearing his jersey number and name, and it was autographed.
Oh, that's cool.
You gotta love that.
Did you guys see the video of Holmes getting in the elevator out of the press box to go down to the locker room?
No.
He was just howling in the just this guttural.
So was he in the press box with you guys, Holmes?
He's not where we are, but he's in the same general area. He's got his own, because the coaches sit up there too, right?
Yeah.
And watch, and the GM's up. Yeah,
but do you have access to those guys? Can you hear them? Can you see?
No, you can't.
Can you catch any of the buzz?
No, you can't. You before the game, when they're walking to their spots or whatever, you might run in and.
But don't those
Manat or whatever,
those booths have almost like blinders on the side?
They do. Yeah. No, they do. They're all.
They don't want people peeking.
Yeah, no, they're all protected.
A lot of sign stealers out there, ML.
What's it like in the press box this season versus previous seasons? I mean, is there a palpable difference in there?
There is, because
I know you're not cheering.
It's an open air press box, so at Ford Field you're attached to the rest of the stadium in ways you aren't in so many other stadiums. So we're much more in tune with the feeling and the vibe in the stadium. And for sure it's different. And this is what I would say. You were talking about Marc hearing it all season long. The Lions, the same with you, Mike. We're talking about, the men crying in the stands after the game, after they beat the LA Rams and the Stafford and the storylines with all that.
In their rollerblades.
But this is, and I've written about this a couple times, and I don't know if we've ever talked about this, but the reason to me, one of the reasons it's so deep is, they've won before the other night, they'd won just one playoff game since 1957. Everybody knows that, in 1991. And this is the first time Ford Field had hosted a playoff game. It's the first time they had a home game as the Lions in 32 years.
They did a great job, by the way.
They did. All of those things are true in the losing, but the few things, the loyalty of this fan base. Alex Anzalone, the linebacker for the Lions, was talking about this the other day. He said his first year here, they lost their first 10 games, went 0-10-1, and the Vikings come to town, and it's December, and Ford Field was full. And I know, Mike, you've kind of jokingly complained about that before, but
rewarding bad behavior.
But there is something that is deep with the who the Lions are and how they're seen in this fan base that's attached to this city in this region and how it is seen. by the rest of the country. The rest of the country doesn't. Washington Post did a really good story about the Lions fan base about a month ago, and I remember talking to that reporter. It's like it's not like the Red Sox with their curse and the curse of the Bambino, the Cubs and the Billy Goat and all that. Even the Browns and the Bills and these teams, that people have empathy for the pain of those fan bases in other places in the country. Nobody knows about this one. This is like the best kept secret of a fan base in the league, and it's tied into the chip on the shoulder in this region of how Detroit is seen. And that's partly why you saw what you saw Sunday night. It's the emotion of it, the passion of it. It's just the generation after generation, what this area means and how this team represents that. It's just, I'm not going to say it's completely unique, but it is kind of. There's not another scenario quite like it in the NFL.
I would think Cleveland might be close.
Cleveland is probably the closest.
Cleveland's got a lot of.
But even they've had the fumble.
They have a new team.
They have playoffs that are memorable.
Well,
the drive. They have painful losses on the national stage. The Lions have never even had that.
Well, they lost their team though, which is so unique.
It's kind of a reset. Well,
yeah.
There was one bittersweet footnote that I want to bring up about the Lions game, and that's that a guy who has seen some of this terrible Lions football and who memorialized a lot of it for decades,
documented
with an incredible eye, incredible talent, was not there, and that's our colleague Kurthman Dozier, Senior Kurt Dozier, to his friends, who passed away suddenly a couple weeks ago. Missed the Michigan National Championship. He surely would have been there. Missed the Lions playoff run. He surely would have been there. A great colleague, a great photographer, a really good man.
Cool dude, just one of the coolest cats you'll ever meet.
Yeah, and the term professional gets thrown around a lot, but this was a guy who was pretty unflappable, and I had the privilege of being on a couple assignments with him, and it was always just kind of like, what are we doing? What's going on? What's with this? He was all about the business, and great guy. He like some of these dudes, you're like, when they die, he was that old? You got to be kidding me. There's no way. But I knew he'd been around before I was, so I knew he was older than me, but just gone suddenly. And there's going to be a funeral celebration of his life later this week. After the show, Shawn and I are going to go to the Free Press and commiserate with some of our colleagues. But I don't want to get corny and say, I'm sure he's cheering them from the sidelines. Yeah. But it is a shame that someone who captured so many great moments for the Lions wasn't there to capture perhaps one of their greatest moments of the last 30 years or so. No, that's just not fair.
No, it's not. I thought a lot about that. I was thinking about him the other night and how he liked that. And by the way, the Lions did a good job paying respects to him. The Red Wings, the Tigers. I mean, yeah, they put his picture up at a Wings game recently and had a moment of silence for him in the arena, which was really, really nice. And the Pistons. So it's been, it just goes to show you how.
I'm not sure he'd want to be associated with the Pistons.
No,
right
but
now.
Right. But how the organizations around town viewed him and the respect they had for him for the work that he did and the job, right? The way he carried himself.
Yeah, and I think when reporters who are beat writers pass, they do get some affection that might surprise people from the people they cover.
Oh, like Kowalski.
Yeah, but photographers are totally different. It's like Coleman Young said in the Little Red Book when he was bitching at the legendary Free Press editor Neil Shine. He's like, Tony Spina, a legendary Free Press photographer, is like, I don't know what you guys do, but at least Tony, he can give me a product. He can show me something. He produces something, I think there's a different feeling for photographers than there are for reporters. But
it's so true.
But yeah, but Kurt's a great guy. I don't know many people who didn't like him, and so we're sorry he couldn't be there, but we're not going to forget about him.
Marc? No? Yes?
I was just giving you a little space for this.
Oh man, the geeks have inherited the earth.
Did I do that?
What a dork.
Does him wanting to play with us again mean that he's turning into a geek, or we're turning into cool guys?
Before we get to our Geek of the Week, someone who wasn't where he was supposed to be, we want to tell you about some people who are always going to be there for you. And that starts with Dr. Yaldo. As I told you at the top of the show, I got LASIK 15 years ago and still have amazing 20/15 far vision, which means I see better than perfect with objects that are far away. Dr. Yaldo can hook you up with custom LASIK, which is the best there is. The problem I'm finding in my 50s is that my near vision has been going for years, and now I can't read up close unless I have readers or unless I have a lot of light. You probably see me at the restaurant with my flashlight trying to read the menu. LASIK helps you with the far vision, but your eyes do naturally age, and so you start to rely on these reading glasses, and you have that frustration all over again. Well, there's a solution out there. The great news is Dr. Yaldo has bifocal implant. These lenses will help you see in the light, in the dark, up close, far away. This is a fantastic procedure. People like me, I'm 56, need to be thinking about doing this so I can get rid of all of my glasses. So that's way with bifocal implants, you can see near, you can see far, you can get perfect vision to see the small stuff and have that great long vision. So get a free evaluation. Call 800-398-EYES. That's 800-398-EYES. And tell them ML sent you. So Dr. Yaldo knows that you like the show and you want to know more about the procedure he's doing. So this will set you free from glasses, contacts, and readers for good. And I think I told you at the top of the show, this is a game changer. I used to wear contacts and before sports, they drive you crazy. I was getting cysts on my eyelids. It was driving me nuts. They slide around. You're sweating in your eyes. You get the LASIK. You get the bifocal implant. You don't have to worry about that. You can just focus on the game. So call Dr. Yaldo, 1-800-398-EYES, or go to yaldoeyecenter.com. We'll have a link to his website on our website. And if you have trouble getting there, well, how about a new ride? We're beyond proud to announce that, when it comes to Steve Gabbara, this man's all about smooth. That's what the S in Gabbara stands for. I guess there's no S in Gabbara. And Steve.
Steven S. Gabbara.
Steve Gabbara. We're beyond excited to announce that after a long hiatus, our good friends at Zott Ford and Haiti are back on the podcast and ready to make automotive magic for all of our listeners. That's because Steve Gabbara and the smooth crew at Zott Ford take pride in making buying and leasing simple, fun, fast, easy, and most importantly, affordable. Speaking of affordable, go lease a 23 Ford Escape, that's a new car, or a 24 Ford Edge under $200 a month. That's 2 C-notes a month below. Unbelievable. Talk about leasing a new 23 Ford Bronco Sport, Explorer F-150 Super Cab, around $300 a month. Zott Ford and Holly can help you get it done. Plus, they have 0% financing and rebates. They can put up to $10,000 in your pocket. That's $10,000 for people who don't get the hip lingo. To top it off, Gabbara bought like 100 boxes of Girl Scout cookies from Fellhauer's daughter, Charlotte, co-host of the Charlotte and Dad podcast. And maybe you can catch Marc making a personal delivery when you visit Zott Ford and get a free box of cookies with your new whip. Ha ha!
Good service department, too.
I had them work on my Ford C-Max. Very nice. Mm-hmm. See details and their delicious inventory at dealsinthed.com. And, of course, if you go to Zott Ford and Holly, tell them ML sent you. I know they sponsor the Drew and Mike show, too, but, work
drop it in.
Work old ML in there if you can. Same thing when you go see our friend Luke and Zach at Pinnacle Wealth Strategies. They will help you find a way to not only enjoy the new ride, the new eyes, but your retirement, so you can see clearly as you roll down that coast highway with your 2015 vision and a pocket full of sheets.
Yeah, you got to
Hiplango.
You got to take care of your money, and next year is here. Everybody always puts it off until next year. I'm going to wait till next year. Well, next year is here, so figure out how to make your money grow for you. Give Luke and Zach at Pinnacle Wealth a call, 248-663-4748. That's Luke Nowacki at Pinnacle Wealth, 248-663-4748 for a free consultation. Figure out bonds, equities, all that stuff that you don't understand. Let Luke figure it out for you. 248-663-4748.
Trust the experts, because when you call Luke and Zach, they'll make it all about you, sweetheart.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through
Mosaic Wealth.
Inc. member FINRA SIPC.
Mosaic Wealth.
Inc. is separately owned, and other entities and/or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent.
Mosaic Wealth.
Inc.
So I was going to go with an anti-geek this week because I was not a huge fan when he was here. I never questioned his toughness, but I just didn't like the way that Lions always talked about, we're putting the pieces around Matt Stafford. Not a big fan. But I got to tell you, the guy on Sunday fantastic. Great game, gutty game. And the way he treated the Lions and the Lions fans with class made me say, Matt Stafford, you are not our Geek of the Week.
Really? I know somebody.
Appreciate him more now than ever before.
I know someone that would disagree with you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Who's that?
Do you know who that is, Sean?
Carlos.
Yeah. I thought his column was ridiculous.
What did he say?
It was.
Whoa, really?
I mean, I read it, but I can't remember because
he called him petty. I mean, he's making an assumption, right? That in a moment, I don't know.
He called him petty because all he said after the game was, "I'm happy for the players. I'm happy for those guys."
Yeah, that sounds.
I think he wanted him to say more about the city and the fans because I guess McVay did, which, you know, it's after the game. The guy's probably pissed. It's his job. They didn't win. I mean, the fact that he says that
he got booed, you know, and I'm sure he probably figured he was going to get booed. But
my mom was very mad that the fans were booing.
Yeah, there were. I saw a lot of fans that were upset.
So my brother and I booed even louder to make her more upset.
Yeah, and his wife took a bunch of criticism for stuff she said. You know, and fair enough. But
Carl's first, by the way, Mike, was his first column that night was that Stafford. The headline was Stafford deserved the booing. I'm like, look, I don't think it was personal.
Let me ask you this. Why does he feel Stafford deserved the booing?
I don't understand it.
What did he do?
Nothing. He did nothing to deserve it. Look, he was going to get booed. And I think he understands.
Sports. That's kind of the fun of sports, right?
Part of the booing was the protection of golf. You know what I mean? The context of it. But
no, it's not. Isn't it just sports? And that guy used to play.
He requested a trade. He'd be traded. Yeah. But you know, Matt Stafford did more to help the Lions by leaving than he ever did as quarterback with those picks and the trades.
And when he played here, he played hurt. You know what I mean?
Broken neck. I mean, the guy.
No, he was.
He did not strike me as the kind of dynamic leader.
Carl's got his numbers, though. Carl's got his numbers. You know, he said he deserved the booing in one headline, and the very next one that it was petty. So,
if he really believes that, fine.
I don't know if he might. Knowing Carlos, he might actually believe it, but it's hard to know. But
it's hard to believe that he would.
Well,
he's a smart guy.
I found myself liking Matt Stafford more than I have ever, and I don't often say that about opposing players. So he's not our Geek of the Week. Our Geek of the Week is the Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin.
Oh, amen.
By the way, we got wars going on all over the country. You're having some very serious medical procedures again. How about letting the boss know? Because you're one of the most powerful and important people, not only in our government, but in the free world. So, hey, Lloyd, how about, passing a note to the White House?
Inexcusable.
Yeah, people already think your boss is in a coma. And then when they're like, hey, Mr. President, where's the Secretary of Defense? He's like, well, he's probably looking out for freedom. He's like, no, he's in the hospital. He's what? He's where? Yeah, sorry, Lloyd. When you take a job like that, maybe you want to keep it private, but you don't get to keep it private when you take a job like that. You know the deal. So next time you're going to go AWOL, which in the military you know is a bad thing, you got to let us know. You can't do that again. We wish you the best of luck in your recovery, but when you're the Secretary of Defense, you got to be on the job. And by the way, did anybody know the Assistant Secretary of Defense was on a vacation in the Caribbean?
Yeah, in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, so I'm like, come on, man. Come on, Lloyd. You're my Geek of the Week.
There's an all-night party in room 7609. And you can dance together all night if you've got the time.
As you know, in 2024, we're expanding the parameters of Room 7609 to welcome you to send deep cuts, send bands that you love that nobody else knows about, or maybe something that your favorite band, that our favorite band played that we just don't hear often enough. But we want you to send your song with a story, because the story is the important thing. And in honor of our change of direction, our expansion in Room 7609, with Shawn here with us today, I've selected Imagination, because I don't know if Shawn is really with us or if it's just an illusion. Go, Shawn. Go.
an illusion. Are your emotions anywhere? Is it really magic in the air? Never let your feelings get you down. Open up your eyes and look around. It's just an illusion. It's just an illusion. In all this confusion. It's just an illusion. It's just an illusion. In all this confusion. It's just an illusion. Could it be a picture in my mind? Never sure exactly what I'll find. Only in my dreams I'll take you on. Here for just a moment, then you're gone. It's just an illusion. It's just an illusion. In all this confusion. It's just an illusion. It's just an illusion. In all this confusion. It's just an illusion.
So that's imagination with just an illusion.
What is this terrible song from?
So this is a band. We're not completely leaving a new wave theme because this is a soul group from England that frequently appeared on Top of the Pops. But it's a little trio that was active in the 80s. And so I don't think many people know them. I found out about them by listening to The Groove on Sirius XM and thought, okay, we're going to try and invite people to expand our musical horizons here. So let's do it. Let's say that Shawn, who has been a big part of the show, virtually is more than just an illusion.
You really
love it. No,
you're such a liar.
No, it just takes me back to
when you were doing cocaine.
I like
at the roller rink.
What the heck, man?
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
You step in dog shit.
Is this still going?
It's a very long song.
Maybe we'll suggest send us a story, but not the never-ending story. This is a long tune. So Well, we're listening to the dulcet tones of imagination here on ML Soul of Detroit. We want to thank our Patreon subscribers. This week we have 3 new members of the Soul Patrol. Joe Kennedy, Michael Johnson, and Ken have signed up to support the show, and we really appreciate that. This is an important way to keep our show on the air, and there's all sorts of levels for which you can participate. At the please let us get what we want level, which is $5 a month, you get the ad-free audio version of the show, and you'll get a video version. You can watch the show as soon as we post it. For $15 a month, that's the Big Mouth Strikes Again level. You get ad-free content, you get ad-free videos, and you get a bonus episode every month, which we'll be recording later this month and then posting it only for our Patreon listeners. Every level of Patreon includes all the benefits from the previous level. So if you become a work as a 4-letter word member of our club, $25 a month, you not only get the ad-free audio version, you get the video version, you get the bonus episode, you will get an autographed copy of the Kwame Sutra, Musings on Lust, Life, and Leadership from the mind of Detroit Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick. Now, we forgot to talk about Kwame Kilpatrick and the new biopic. Next week, we're expecting to have some of the actors who starred in this movie, on the show. So come back for that. And
is there really an ML Elric role in this?
Well, you saw the trailer, right?
I did.
Well, we're going to post the trailer on our website. If you want to watch the trailer, go to mlsoulofdetroit.com, and you can see the actor who's chosen to portray me. I don't want to prejudice anybody's opinion, but I want you to let us know with an email to mlsoulofdetroit@gmail.com if you think that this guy is a dead ringer.
Should I put it up on the screen?
For your old pal, ML Elric.
I think he is spot on.
Looks more like Andy Sipowicz to me.
Here it comes. You ready?
Oh, boy.
It's not showing up. Oh, it's your lucky day. It's not showing up.
So, yeah, well, you'll have to watch that on our website. If you're a handsome devil, like the actor who portrays me in the Kwame Kilpatrick biopic, for $60 a month, you will not only get the ad-free audio version, the video version, the bonus episode, the autographed copy of the Kwame Sutra, but you will get a members-only T-shirt that is exclusive to Handsome Devils. That's $60 a month. Oh, there he is. He looks. Don't really wear a lanyard, but yeah. Starring Frank Polino.
I'm just laughing because you have a full head of hair. Even in a beautiful lion's head on today. And that guy's a little thin on top.
And I could never grow a mustache like that. So he's got hair where I don't, and I've got it where he don't. So,
but he's got I think you've worn lanyards, right? I've seen you in a lanyard.
I mean, if I was at a game or if I was maybe marching with Detroit Will Breathe or something, just so folks know that I was a member of the media. But in general, I'm not one of these guys who's really into, look at all my credentials. Look at me. I'm approved. I'm certified. No, I don't go for that shit.
I thought the guy playing Kilpatrick looked more like him. Maybe it's the beard.
No, he looks like current Kilpatrick because Kilpatrick
he
didn't have that
beard
long
when he
a
was a
beard
mayor,
back then.
right?
No, it was very thin. It was like a shadow beard. And he was very careful about having the lines shaved in it. In fact, the first day I ever hung out with Kilpatrick, we went to 2 barber shops. The first one was the Polo Barber Shop, where he allegedly met in a back room with that Jamaican woman, where he just had the barber trim the lines on his beard so they would be exactly right. And then later on that day, we went to the Ali Barber Shop, which was run by his cousin, who gave him a haircut. So this guy is not his personal grooming is not as precise as Mayor Kilpatrick's. And of course,
the actor. Yeah.
You may have.
I don't think it's that bad though. I think he kind of.
No, he looks good. He looks good. It's just
way better than the guy playing you.
So yeah, well, hey, Frank he's a tour de force as an actor. But the the other thing that you need to know about Kilpatrick's grooming is once he became mayor, I think it was twice a month, 2 different people would come to the mayor's office where he had a custom barber chair in the back room, and they would do his grooming. Those 2 guys were named Yuri and Mr. Peanut. So I don't know if they get into that detail in the film, but I was told by one of the producers that they did consult with the Kwame Sutra as they were making the film. So,
all right.
So get your free Kwame Sutra as a 4-letter word sponsor on Patreon. or become a handsome devil. No one's become a handsome devil yet, so we're not going to have to make that exclusive t-shirt. But if you're our first handsome devil, you will have a one-of-a-kind, super sweet ML Soul of Detroit t-shirt. You can do all that by going to Patreon. That's patreon.com. Look for ML Soul of Detroit, and please sign up. We really do appreciate your support. We got a little feedback this week, and it's more Kilpatrick related. Michelle writes to ask whether or not I have seen a... I don't know whether it's a movie or it's a documentary or if it's just an interview, but Strawberry, Tamara Green's daughter, has gone on video to accuse Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick, former Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick, of killing her mother. Now, people who've listened to this show or have seen me speak in public know that I don't believe in the Manoogian Mansion party rumor. It didn't happen. And that I don't think Mayor Kilpatrick had anything to do with the death of Strawberry. But Strawberry's daughter is speaking out. So I have seen the video, and, it's very sad what happened to these children. But of all the terrible things Kwame Kilpatrick did, and they are so many we'd never get through them all in a day, I don't think he had Strawberry killed. She had boyfriends and had dates with people who are drug dealers. And when you hang around with those guys and they got a beef with another drug dealer, crossfire is all part of the game, and that's sadly what happened. And Charlie's done a lot of reporting on this too, and he's spoken to the police officers who investigated, and Charlie has also come to the same conclusion that she was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Well, I mean, it'd be a massive story if it was true, so I don't think anybody would cover it up.
No, and at this point, you don't have to worry about retaliation from Kilpatrick. There's no incentive for anybody to keep their mouth shut, and in fact, there's every incentive to speak, because you could become famous, you could become rich, you could get a book deal, a movie deal, who knows? Maybe you get yourself off the hook with another crime, But yeah, it's an interesting video. She's a beautiful young woman, and I don't know, maybe we'll have her on the show sometime in the future.
I want to say when we looked it up before, she might have pulled that TikTok down.
Oh,
and she's gonna be a little biased in her opinion. But not a bad thing to get TikTok followers on, because people will watch it, and Fox 2 did a big story on it. So
yeah, and she's very young, so I don't know what she would have known about at the time. But you hear a lot of things, and sometimes it's just easier to believe what people are telling you than get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
So Kyle writes to us, as you can write to us at mlsoulofdetroit@gmail.com, and is referring to Sean's reference last week to Orange Sunshine, one of the many mind-altering substances that he indulged in back in his Texas days. And Kyle says, the lab that made this, it's no shock. Windsor. Sean is a drug kingpin. Love the show. I worry for Sean's sobriety. Well, Sean is, as you know, sober, more sober than most judges. But as we were telling you early on, this Orange Sunshine pills were created by a bunch of hippies in a farmhouse in Windsor, which I believe is a town in California. The Press Democrat says, little was known about the clandestine lab because it was never busted. Authorities only found out about it several years after it was dismantled. That hidden chapter of history had its start in late 1968, much like Sean got his start in late 1967, I think, when the lab was set up in Windsor, California. Within a few months, it produced roughly 3 pounds of LSD, or enough to make 4.5 million hits of Orange Sunshine, a nickname for the orange-colored barrel-shaped pill it produced, an especially powerful psychedelic trip. It would become one of the most iconic drugs of the late 1960s, proclaimed the finest acid in the land by Timothy Leary, the former Harvard instructor who famously advised people to turn on, tune in, and drop out.
Mm-hmm.
So, wow, Sean is got some
always
deep
ahead of the
roots.
curve.
Yeah, he's shit, man. So if we end up having some sort of Soul of Detroit party and Sean's there, you might want to pour your own drinks. You just don't know what that rascal is up to. So, Marc, good to have you back. It's good to have the whole crew in the studio. I think next week we should be joined by some cast members from that Kwame Kilpatrick biopic. That should be a lot of fun. And I'm going to run to go pay tribute to Kurt Dozier with my colleagues. We always appreciate you listening to us, sharing the podcast, rating the podcast. And, if you can help us with a Patreon membership,
we'll be adding more stuff.
Most appreciated. We will continue to give you more incentives as more people get in the fold. So until next week, we turn to Cyrus to take us out.
Can you dig that?
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Experience this remarkable journey as
ML Eric,
struggling to fulfill his destiny.
Tomorrow I kill a
Detroit
lion.
Discovers the true meaning of friendship.
The
Detroit
lion must live.
And the significance of becoming the lion he was born to be.